Hi everyone, Chicken here. In the last lesson, we went through some quick ways to add simple backgrounds that can help finish our character illustrations. In this lesson, we will be going through the basic principles of perspective and how to use Procreate's drawing guides to help us with that. Firstly, I'll go through 1-point, 2-point, and 3-point perspectives. These are perspective guides that can help us with drawing 3D objects. These will usually be used with drawings involving man-made objects, such as buildings or furniture like tables and beds. Because perfect cubes and rectangles generally don't occur that much in nature. Let's start out with the 1-point perspective. If you've heard of the vanishing point before, it is where all the lines converge to in an image. And this vanishing point will lie on the horizon line. In 1-point perspective, we will only have one vanishing point. To set up the 1-point perspective guide on Procreate, we go into the settings and turn on the drawing guide here. Then go into Edit Drawing Guide, Perspective, and we just have to tap once on the screen to get the 1-point perspective. Now let's go into our layers and we're going to set this layer as assisted drawing. Now when we draw on this layer, we will automatically draw in straight lines either horizontally, vertically, or according to the vanishing point. And for 1-point perspective, we will always see the square or rectangular surface of any objects that we draw. Anything that's drawn below the horizon line will look like it's on the ground. And anything drawn above it will look like it's suspended in air. And if we want to see more of the top surface of the objects below, we just have to raise our horizon line. So now when we draw a cube, it looks like we are looking at it more from the top. This works really well if you're drawing a character with objects that are all facing forward, as in we'll be looking at them from a side that is completely square or rectangular, like this cube that we drew here. Or it can also be used to draw a street with buildings that are all parallel with each other, like this setup here. Now let's move on to 2-point perspective. 2-point perspective is when there are two vanishing points. I had to make the image smaller because the vanishing points usually lie outside of the photo. And to set this up with the drawing guide in Procreate, we just have to go back into the drawing guide, tap another point on the horizon line, and we'll get a second vanishing point. This perspective will work for when you want to draw objects from a side. We check that the assisted drawing is still on, and we can now draw a 3D cube. And we can already see that there are no perfect squares or rectangles like in the 1-point perspective. All our surfaces are trapeziums. And we can draw an object above our vanishing point as well. And it will look like it will be suspended in the air, similar to the 1-point perspective. Now I'll try to draw a house with this 2-point perspective. I'll bring our horizon line down because we want to have a more down-up view of the house. So if we are drawing a house from the side, like I am doing now, or a table from one side with the corner visible, we would use the 2-point perspective. Now moving on to the 3-point perspective. This will be used when we are viewing objects from below or above them, namely buildings. So our third vanishing point will be situated either above or below the line. In this case, our third vanishing point is below the horizon line. And I use Procreate's drawing guide to illustrate this because our vanishing points lie way beyond the canvas. To set up our drawing guides in Procreate, again we're gonna go to Edit Drawing Guide and we're gonna tap a spot above the horizon line. Now with our third vanishing point above our horizon line, we will have a sort of bottom-up view of the buildings. It will look like the buildings are towering over us. Now that we have an idea of how to use Procreate's drawing guide to help us set up 3D shapes in the background, let's go over how we would place our characters within an environment in a way such that they are in scale with each other and their surroundings. So the best way to keep things at the right level when they are closer or further away to the camera is to take note of at what level they meet the eye line or horizon line. Firstly, let's take a look at this picture here. There's some furniture here that can guide us in finding out where our vanishing point is. And from there, we can find our horizon line. And we can see here when we move our Highland cow closer to the camera, the middle of its chest will always be where our horizon line meets. Applying this concept to our character art is really simple. We have two characters here of different heights. And all we need to do is just mark out at which level they meet our horizon line. And now when we duplicate it and make it bigger or smaller, we will know where to place our character. And it will still look really in scale. We can do this for our other character too. And if we want to make her really close up, we can easily do that. Now we have many characters in the scene, but they look really in scale with each other and positioned correctly with respect to the camera. In this lesson, we learned about perspective. We learned about 1, 2, and 3-point perspectives and went through how to place a character according to the eye line. In the next lesson, we will learn how to render and add plants to our character illustration.